First and foremost, housing. The housing market in the Netherlands is competitive and notoriously expensive, especially in cities like Amsterdam, Rotterdam, and The Hague. Fun fact, Amsterdam can also be compared to living in Paris, with expensive tiny spaces and a surprising amount of leaning houses. In the Netherlands, on average, you will be spending 500 to 2,000 euros a month renting a single-room apartment or a studio, 350 to 800 euros per month renting a room with a shared kitchen and bathroom. And lastly, student houses/rooms are more affordable, ranging from 350 to 650 euros a month, to live with people that moved out of their parents' place for the first time. And some universities even offer on-campus accommodation. Your university may help you find a room if you contact them after you are admitted. Or you might be too late for your application, so you're left on your own. You can also decide to live in a boat in Amsterdam, for example. Renting one will cost you from 900 to 3,500 euros a month. But you can also rent a night in a boat, if you're really curious about the seasickness levels. But the bigger the city, the bigger the prices. A place like Amsterdam comes with high costs of living. This international city has many opportunities and cultural events, as well as access to a global cuisine. Cuisine, is that how you say that word? And transport that will take you across Europe. You will also be greeted with the constant noise and chaos that comes with the city. Rural towns will be the cheapest areas to live. However, it might be not so fun for some. Then you can either live in not so well-known cities like Eindhoven or Groningen, that offers you a good balance of affordability and a quality of life. Or you can live outside the city and on the outskirts. It tends to be relatively cheaper, and thanks to public transport you can get to your nearest Starbucks pretty easily. Or Dunkin' Donuts. There are quite some of them. So much fun. If you're currently looking for an apartment, there are many websites you can use as a student or a non-student. And there are many Facebook groups that post rooms for renting. Groceries in the Netherlands. Staple foods are not overly expensive in the Netherlands. General supermarkets such as Albert Heijn and Jumbo stock a good supply of everyday foods. If you have a smaller budget, head to Aldi or Lidl, where you can save between 10 to 15%. And I made a whole video about grocery stores, so if you want, you can check it out. Just saying. On average, if you're a home cook, you will be spending around 90 to 280 euros, depending on the city you choose to live in. For a comparison, here are some average prices of standard products in the Netherlands. Milk, croissant, bananas, a can of Coca-Cola, potatoes, peanut butter, and Batman Oreos, because I couldn't find the normal Oreos, I don't know where they went. But there's also an option to dine out and takeaway, which is always very tempting after a long day of sitting behind your desk. Dining out in the Netherlands is affordable if you stick to more modest restaurants. A standard evening meal can cost between 10 to 15 euros per person in a cheap restaurant and 40 to 90 euros per person in an average restaurant. Tips are not included in the bill and are typically up to 10%, while 15% or more is considered generous. So if you're too lazy to cook, the spending might add up to 250 to 400 euros or more if you're fancy. And if you're curious about the Big Mac Index, I've got you covered. It's 4.9 euros compared to the US standard $5.66, which converts to 5.2 euros. 5.02 euros. What you spend on coffee varies from place to place. A cappuccino in Amsterdam costs on average about 3.5 euros. Meanwhile, in Groningen or Maastricht, you can expect to spend about 3 euros. But in Twente University, it's 60 cents. It used to be 25. The machines upgraded, but the quality stayed the same. Also, coffee shops are not necessarily selling coffee. You can tell by the smell. You will also need an ID to enter, so, you know. Transportation. Bikes are the #1 transportation in the Netherlands. The Netherlands is a paradise for bikes. Cyclists have the right way in the whole country. Bike prices may vary on the condition of the bike and where you purchased it. Anywhere from 20 euros to 15,000 euros. So there are a couple of options. Buying it at a bike store. If you want a good, fresh-looking bike, be my guest. They can go from 200 euros to, honestly, infinity. If you also wanted to microwave your leftovers on your way to work. Then second-hand bikes are a great option. You can also find them at the bike store or Facebook Marketplace. But there might be a chance that they were stolen. Swapfiets, not a sponsor, where you can rent a bike from 16.90 to 75 euros a month, depending on your bike standards. And there is also a student discount. Another option is renting a bike from the train station with your personal OV chip card that I will cover a bit later in this video. Typically, this is a temporary choice. The bikes are not great and cost up to 4.15 euros, up to 24 hours of use. And lastly, you can get offered a bike very cheaply on the street by some sketchy guy. And you take it with caution. Also, don't leave your bike without a lock. It will most likely be stolen and sold on Facebook. And if you're afraid of commitment to a bike, you can also try GoSharing, where you can rent an electric scooter or a bike via an app for 23 cents per minute, but you need a driver's license for it. If you need or want to travel long distances, there are many trains, trams, and buses you can take. In addition to trams and buses, the cities like Amsterdam and Rotterdam also offer a metro service that I never tried actually, and I didn't know it existed. You can buy hourly or day tickets for these services, and on buses you can pay for just the route. But for long-term stayers, I would recommend purchasing an OV chip card for 7.50, either a personal or anonymous. You can top up the card and you will pay the rate based on the distance you travel. In most cases, this is much cheaper than buying hourly tickets. The difference between personal and anonymous is that the anonymous can be used by anyone, but if you lose it, you cannot replace it. You also can't buy any subscriptions, and unfortunately, you cannot set it to automatically top itself up with credit via bank account, unlike the personal one. Trains. Here, trains are decently punctual, moderately fast, and at times have good Wi-Fi with an occasional spot to charge your phone. With trains, you can go almost anywhere, but there's a price to pay. 8.17 euros to be exact, for an hour train ride. And you can save up by buying a return ticket, but it all adds up when you plan a trip to a city that's 2 hours away from you, making the total 55.20 euros. Ouch. With the OV chip card, you can go to the NS website where you can find many subscriptions to choose from. They can make your travels a bit cheaper, not only for you but also for your friends, if you have any. Buses, trams and metros work on similar levels when it comes to cost. An hourly ticket will cost you 3.2 euros and 6.5 for 90 minutes. You can also purchase a multi-day ticket from 8.50 to 37 euros, depending on how many days you want to use it. It's valid on all GVB transports in Amsterdam on a 24-hour basis, but it's not valid for the airport trains and airport buses. There's a strong chance that you will be caught if you don't have a valid ticket, so you cannot ride as a rabbit. I don't know if that's a saying in your language. Almost every time you take the train, you're most likely to be checked. And the fine is usually around 50 euros. Also, you can decide to have a car, but it is very expensive and at times inconvenient. I don't really have experience with it, so I cannot tell you much about it. All I know is that their driver's plates are yellow from the front and the back for I don't know what reason. It is mandatory for everyone to purchase at least a base level of health insurance, and you must do it within 4 months of arrival, otherwise you'll be fined. The standard health insurance package can cost 120 euros per month, more or less, with additional deductibles. But you can also apply for a health insurance allowance from the Dutch tax office if your income is below a certain amount of threshold, since in a way the Netherlands offers public healthcare for free. But the insurance does not cover all treatments like dental or physiotherapy. Generally, international students are not obliged to take a Dutch insurance. However, once you start working during your study, whether you have taken a small or a part-time job, this means that you will be obligated to take out a Dutch insurance. Also, surprisingly, simple over-the-counter medicine is very cheap, like paracetamol and ibuprofen, under €1. Wow. Shopping! The bigger the city you live in, the more options you have to shop at. But in most cities you will find a Zara and an H&M, where a pink snail sweater can cost around 30 euros. Then there's also a well-known German store selling consumer electronics called MediaMarkt, where you can find stuff that are a bit higher priced than online. Speaking of online stores, bol.com is widely regarded as the biggest web shops and marketplace in the Netherlands. They offer many products and goods from cat litter boxes to paintings of women with 2 great ratings. Interesting. And there's of course Amazon, but where would we be without it? Thrift shopping is one of my favorite activities. So some shops have great deals, but it takes great effort to find something nice. And others have lots of nice things, but the price tag is just like or even more than the regular stores. And here is a montage of fun things I found. Also, Hema and Action are cool stores for household items. Just wanted to mention that.